All right. So we have with Frank Kalek from Microsoft, and maybe if you can introduce you real quick about what you do at Microsoft.
So Microsoft is an industry organization, within Microsoft sales, and we are focusing on the industry-specific scenarios. I belong to the automotive practice, and I'm supporting OEMs, Tier 1s, everyone in the automotive sector to take requirements from our customer segment back to our engineering, and also translating Microsoft technology into customer industry-specific scenarios.
So explain me a little bit what you do concretely. Are you just visiting customers? Are you selling technologies? What is your role exactly?
Selling ideas. And again, translating Microsoft technologies and product names into solutions that matter for our customers.
So you visit OEMs and suppliers, Tier 1s?
That's right, yeah. And of course, in very early stages, we are also evaluating, is there an appetite on the customer side to leverage the technology to also understand their scenarios better? One example is, for instance, Hey Mercedes, where we engaged way before public announcements. And it was kind of a co-engineering, right? Working with a customer who didn't know about the product, the service that will come, and then adopting the technology, being the bridge between Microsoft engineering and the customer to translate between automotive and cloud engineering. So that was one example, if that gets you an idea how we usually work.
Because obviously the story of Microsoft and automotive has been made of a lot of different initiatives.
You're right.
I remember the Microsoft Sync, for instance, way forward. And so how can you explain a little bit the changes of strategy? And because you've been at Microsoft for many years, so what is your personal take on how everything has been evolving? I guess that is also, I mean, the change of strategy between Microsoft and automotive is also linked to the strength of strategy of Microsoft as a whole, right? The whole company has been evolving a lot.
Yeah, that's a good question, Stéphane, and I appreciate asking that. There was a change in the Microsoft culture, especially with Satya Nadella stepping in. So it was from knowing it all towards learn and listen to the customers.
Okay.
And the reference that you were touching at the beginning was Microsoft tried to really step deeply into this automotive business, but it turned out that there's way more industry knowledge needed than we can provide ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's why the strategy is we will partner with partners in this industry who know way better than we about the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And we focus on our core competencies, the cloud capabilities, how software can be written, how cloud native technologies look like. And this is where we help our partners to leverage our technology and to provide the product. So the productization in automotive, that's where we lean on our partners, but we also engage with customers who have the ambition to develop themselves. So as I said at the beginning, Mercedes is one example. Mm-hmm. We directly work with OEMs, but in order to scale, we are also working with partners who scale and know the market, the industry, who have the contacts at the customer side. So that's the change in the Microsoft strategy. We focus on our core business, cross-industry that can scale, and we partner with the partners who leverage our technology.
But what's interesting is that in coming back to the Ford example, I remember still the sticker on the car, right, powered by Microsoft or something like this. And right now, I don't see this really happening. When I compare to the other tech companies like Apple with CarPlay or Google with Android Auto or Amazon with Alexa, you can see that they are trying to put their brand in a pretty visible manner. I don't have the feeling that this is really the case with Microsoft, or this is not yet happening. Well, how do you see Microsoft being visible to the consumer ultimately?
So back in the past, Microsoft, it was under Steve Ballmer, made the decision to focus on B2B business, enterprise business. And that was the strategic decision to prioritize this business. Of course, we still have big areas of consumer business like Xbox gaming and devices in the office area, Outlook.com, LinkedIn, for instance. But certainly the focus, the core business at Microsoft is enterprise business.
Okay.
So we are under the hood. We are not providing the interface for the end customer, the customer of the customer's user experience. So therefore, we stay under the hood. And that's why we're not putting a logo on our capabilities. The success metric for us is the success of the customer. So if the customer is happy, we're happy, and we let the customer shine. And if we are under the hood, the customer is happy because of leveraging our technology. That's the success for Microsoft.
And so, I mean, Microsoft is a massive company, obviously. And in the conversation we have with Serens, we have been talking about Office 365. We have been talking about Azure. So there are multiple technologies, I guess, within Microsoft that can be used by automotive customers. How do you break silos internally so that you can have, everything ultimately from different parts of the organization to service your customers?
Yeah, that's a good question. And to be honest, that's sometimes challenging, right?
Okay.
Because you have to translate customer demands into something that engineering can buy in and understand the use case. So about that specific scenario, engineering on our side is eager to learn about the use cases that our customers have. Like in this case, what capabilities are needed in order to enable in-vehicle voice assistance, to also explain, hey, there's CarPlay and Android Auto. Why do we need to have this first-party experience in a voice assistant? And this is where we are the translators, but also the ambassadors for our customers to explain that in a language that engineering and Microsoft Business Development understands. And of course, we are the internal orchestrator, because it's not just one product group being responsible for one specific service. It's a combination. So we orchestrate. In this case, it's Intune, it is Microsoft 365, it is Azure, it is Copilot, for instance. So this is where we orchestrate the Microsoft organization in order to hide that complexity from the customer.
So speaking of Copilot is really I would say, the face of AI at Microsoft. I mean, that's the way I see it, at least. And you have Copilot GitHub, you have Copilot for Microsoft 365, the Copilot PCs. How do you see Copilot playing a role in the automotive industry?
So if you ask general question, of course, the Copilot suite, the Gen AI capabilities play a role alongside the whole the value chain at our automotive customers. For instance, in engineering, GitHub Copilot is super popular at our automotive customers. It is about hiding the complexity of their existing legacy platforms by putting a Gen AI agent on top of that. It is about sales, it's about production, and we have lots of good examples of customers where they generate real value, not just playing and doing pilots, proof of concepts with that. If you ask about the vehicle, here is where the consumer, the B2C business meets the enterprise business.
Yes.
Of course, one could think of lots of business productivity related scenarios and passenger car, but you could think about other scenarios, like, for instance, in the commercial vehicle sector, about how could I interface with a fleet management system? How could I interface with a CRM system? How could I interface with the after sales, with the workshops? How could my enterprise, so the OEM of the commercial vehicle, better interface with our customers? They don't have a touch point usually with the drivers of a truck today. That's a new opportunity. And this is where we can provide the right B2B capabilities. In the B2C sector, it's about leveraging the core capabilities, the building blocks. That's a business where we don't really step in. So we provide the tools, the building blocks, but not the solutions that really interface with the customers, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And my last question would be, obviously, we see that the automotive industry is changing considerably. One, we have the software aspect of it, right? With the SDD, we have the AI aspect of it. We have also the whole, I would say, ecosystem changing in a way that there are many more collaborations that we had in the past. I guess that this is creating a lot of opportunities for Microsoft as a major tech player. What would you say in the future will be the biggest opportunity for Microsoft in the automotive space?
First of all, we need to acknowledge that the automobile industry, especially in the established markets, is under big pressure. And this is where we want to help these automakers. And GenAI is seen as one of the key technologies that can help automakers and suppliers to become more efficient. So you have heard about the term China speed.
Yeah.
Everyone talks China speed. We see a big opportunity in automakers adopting these GenAI capabilities like Copilot in the context of GitHub, right? So you can write ECU automotive specific software within minutes rather than months, at the same time being automotive compliant, so safety critical functions, ASIL, etc., etc. So that's a big opportunity, and customers are very eager to adopt that at China speed. And at the same time, automakers need to save money. They have cost-saving programs. But if you read the news, there's automakers that understand the potential of providing the Copilot capabilities to all of their employees, because it's not about the huge applications, corporate applications. It's about the person experience. So using Copilot virtual agents for the everyday jobs. So how could a Copilot help me in my everyday job to save 30 minutes or an hour? And this is the key enabler for GenAI. It is both. It's the personal productivity plus these corporate-wide applications that can, for instance, automate the engineering workflows, like in the V model, from requirements to validation. So both, because if you haven't learned about leveraging GenAI capabilities for your everyday work, you may not really be in a position to generate the ideas about the really big bet use cases of GenAI or the use cases to enlighten the end customers, like in the vehicle, for instance.
Frank, thank you so much for your time. I think it was a really, really interesting interview, and it was. I'm super happy that we could get Microsoft's standpoint on the whole automotive business. So thank you so much for your time.
Likewise, Stéphane, was a pleasure.